and welcome back to UltraHuman. So today I would like to walk you through my morning routine and what I do in a morning before breakfast. So for my own life, personally, I am a mom of 3 kids and we homeschool with all our kids. So my kids are 9, 4, and almost 2 years old. And so with the 2 older boys, we're homeschooling with them. It's a little bit more intense with my 9-year-old, with my 4-year-old. It's kind of more general stuff. But by the time all the kids are awake in the morning, things can get a little chaotic. So it's really important to me. In the last few years, I have had to establish a pretty religious morning routine that I go through, and I am not always perfect about it, but when I can execute on it, it definitely sets me up for a much better day. So I'd like to go through that with you today. It's going to be 7 steps to a great morning routine, and especially if you are a mom or if you have a family. So step number 1 for me is I like to do a 5-minute journal in the morning. So this is a Stoic journal. It's by the suggestion of Tim Ferriss, and he talks about, this is my journal right here. And I also think it's kind of important, like for me, my journal is very like tactile. It's like squishy and it's got this Celtic knot on it. And I think that's kind of important because it's motivating to get this pretty journal out in the morning and put my thoughts down into it. The first thing I do is I write 3 things that I am grateful for. And I like to include something that's just kind of like a general, something more general, like this morning I think it was the way that the light reflects off the waxy leaves on the tree outside my window, so that it reflects this green light back into my room. So that was one of the things. And then the next 3 things that I write down are what's gonna make today great. So today was, I'm gonna film this video and I'm gonna get my YouTube video out into the world. So it can be like that big task that you need to handle for the day. And then I like to include like little personal goals too. So like I'm gonna spend quality time with my kids, or I'm gonna get my son to his taekwondo and I'm gonna sit down and actually watch him do his whole taekwondo class today. So I like to have stuff like that bundled up in there. And I like to make it something concrete so that it's something that I'm going to get done and I know when it's done. It's I used to kind of have more general things, like I'm going to spend quality time with my kids, and then kind of I realized when I was going to do my journaling at night that like I wouldn't know for sure if I had done that. Like I would look back at the day and be like, well, I guess I kind of maybe I did that, but I feel like I get a bigger sense of accomplishment out of it when I have been more specific. I feel like I accomplished something a lot more if I'm really on point with what it is that is going to make that day great. So after my 5-minute journaling, I like to jump straight into 20 minutes of meditation. So step 2 is 20 minutes of meditation. Now for myself, I don't like to get a lot, if my journaling is done, I've kind of unloaded my brain, and so that kind of helps me be set up for that meditation. And I used to try and get more things done before that, like I would drink my water or I brush my teeth, because I thought maybe that would, make things a little bit more serene for meditation. But what I found is that like there's always another thing you could do before you go sit down and try and empty your mind for 20 minutes. And so that just emptying your mind, like what I like to do with the journal, and then just getting your ass on a pillow and sitting in a place where you can tolerate it for 20 minutes is the best way to just get it done. And in my world, as long as it gets done, it's better than getting it done perfect. And that's kind of like something I try and repeat to myself a lot, because otherwise nothing gets done when you've got 3 kids. So 20 minutes of meditation first thing in the morning. I like to face a window, just get yourself set up in a comfortable place. And I have a preset timer on my phone. Something I want to talk about in a later video, what I'm going to talk about my nighttime routine is I always set my phone to airplane mode the night before. This both helps that I'm not screwing around with my phone in bed before I go to sleep, keeping me up at night, but also I don't have any kind of notifications and I'm not concerned about being interrupted by a phone call or a notification or update. first thing in the morning. So I go to my phone, I have a timer, like a preset timer for 29 minutes, and it's that funky number because I like to be able to hit that timer and know that I'm not going to spend too much time in my meditation because I don't have a timer. I'm not guessing, okay, well, have I arrived at nirvana yet? Can I stand up? Am I wasting time? But I also want to know that if I do need to get up and do something, like, oops, I didn't go to the bathroom, or this seat isn't like working for me and I need to move around, something like that. If anything like that comes up, I'm not worried about, am I actually going to get that whole 20 minutes in? So 29 minutes kind of like gives me some wiggle room so that I can run around and do the things I have to set myself up so I can sit down, and I never have to look at that timer again to guess, am I getting this whole thing in, or am I going to have to reset it? So that's what I like to do to just mitigate all of those things that might come up that I've found throughout the time I've been trying to practice meditation. And I'll do another video where I kind of unpack like what meditation is for me. I like to do a form of Zazen meditation where you're just really focusing on breathing and trying to find that empty space. So number 4 is my shower. So Number 3. So number 3 is about the time I am getting ready for my shower at this point. I like to turn some music on, and the big thing for my number 3 is I like to fill up, this is 1 liter of water, and I will typically fill this up first thing in the morning if I don't already have it filled up, and I try and drink a liter of water before I get in the shower. This is just kind of like while I'm going through my routine of like getting out my towel and whatever else it is that I'm gonna need to take my shower. I will just be chugging or sipping on this. This might seem kind of extreme, like a lot of water to some people. And I don't know, I think it's just more of a matter of getting used to drinking this much water. I will try to drink 2 of these in a day, at least. Right now I'm 135 pounds, and they say like double your weight in ounces, so 270 ounces of water is how much I really should be drinking, which is like more than this. But yeah, so try and just get one of these whole things out of the way. And a big reason that I do that is because I used to drink coffee first thing in the morning. And after like a few weeks of having my coffee first thing before I did have water, I would feel really dehydrated later on in the day. So I started to replace that with water, and it really changed my whole energy level throughout the day, and it made it a lot easier to get this other liter or so of water in me throughout the rest of the day. So now, number 4 is my shower. So I like to take relatively short showers. 2 big things that I do in the shower. For one, I don't typically use any body wash, and I don't often use shampoo, although I will use some Dr. Bronner's just to get the grease out of my hair because I don't like how that looks, although it's not super necessary, I don't think. Like, I've never had anybody tell me that I had body odor or anything like that. But so I like to just use like a little tiny bit of Dr. Bronner's to get the grease out of my bangs and things like that. And then the big thing that I use, and these things have changed my life. So these are Korean, typically used in Korean traditional bathing. There was an episode of Anthony Bourdain, the late great Anthony Bourdain, where he was in Korea, and I guess he like went to an exfoliating bathhouse where they had like people with these little things, like little mittens is kind of what they are. You can slip your hand into them, and they would like rub down your whole body, and it takes off like the whole first layer of dead skin. But he didn't seem to think that it was super great because they just kind of rubbed him raw. Which I bet I wouldn't want somebody else using this on me, but I think it's great. And especially if you have dry skin, they're basically like exfoliating pads. You slip your little hand in there and then scrub it off. And it's amazing. Like, you never felt as clean as once you've exfoliated the whole first layer of skin off of your body. It's amazing, but it doesn't hurt. And obviously, like, you know if you're applying too much pressure or if there's a problem. So that's what I like to use. You can get these at like Asian grocery stores. I found it by chance and they have changed my life. And this, as you can see, it's $2.99 and it comes with 3 inside of the pack. And so they're like $1 a piece. We like to like write our names on it in Sharpie so that we're not like getting it mixed up whose it is. And they last for like a long time. I've replaced like one once because it got like left on the floor in the shower. So that's the next step. So then when I'm still in the shower, I like to practice the Wim Hof breathing method. So once I am all clean, and I've taken my like I probably take relatively cool showers, but like relatively warm for what the second half of the shower is going to be. I will like spray down the floor in the shower, and just while I'm sitting, I actually used to do this standing and I realized that was a really stupid idea. Because if you know what the Wim Hof breathing method is, you're essentially hyperventilating, taking deep breaths in and out of your mouth for 30 breaths or so. And then you hold your breath for 1 minute, and then you breathe in and hold that breath for 15 seconds. And that whole process, I'll probably do another video on that later specifically, but it does a lot of things chemically to your body and to your brain, and it releases a lot of endorphins. And this allows you to tolerate really cold temperatures. So the next thing I will do once I have done that, sitting on the floor of my tub, don't do it standing like I did, I will turn my knob, if you have like a normal shower thing and there's like all the way hot, all the way cold, I usually turn it like a little past halfway to the cold side and try and stand in that water. The biggest key is just to like keep breathing. Don't tense up and hold your breath, which is your body's first natural inclination. But just keep breathing steadily through it, and it really only takes like the first few breaths to go by before you're actually going to start to feel amazing, because your body is going to just send out all kinds of endorphins to help you tolerate that cold. And after a few seconds, I would say like within that first minute, you literally can't tell how cold the water is that you're standing in anymore. And like I said, I like to turn on my music before I get in the shower, and a big part of the reason is because this is the time I like to dance in the really cold water as a way to like get that cold all over my body, so that you're not just standing there trying to just let it hit one spot on your back or something. So turn all the way around, get all the way cold, immerse yourself in it, and I like to do that for like 1 to 3 minutes at the end of my shower. And so that wraps up step 4, the long step 4, which is taking a shower. And so then for step 5, now I will go downstairs and I will make my bulletproof coffee. So like I said, I used to do this a lot earlier on. I basically like wake up and make coffee and then try and meditate, and that was not working. So now I wait till after I'm all done with my shower and everything. I've kind of let that water go through my body. I'm feeling energized from just being hydrated in general. And I like to make myself bulletproof coffee. So I use a pour over. Probably do a whole video on bulletproof coffee sometime. But I like to just do about 25 grams to 16 ounces of water to make each cup of coffee. I'll usually make one for me and for my fiance. I'll put it in the blender, and then for both of those I'll use like about a teaspoon of coconut oil and a teaspoon of grass-fed butter. I know some people like to use like the purified coconut oil or whatever. It's just, from what I understand, that is a fad, and it's just like a really expensive version of coconut oil, so I just like to use the whole coconut oil. So I like to do that, put it in my blender, and just blend it up until it looks nice and creamy. It's really delicious like that. So that's my whole step 5 is for bulletproof coffee. And then step 6 is I will take my coffee outside with me while I read a book. And that's my preference, is to do this outside. For one thing, as a mom, it helps kind of mitigate if during this time the kids wake up and I'm outside reading my book. It kind of helps me to draw that to a close myself. I can hear the kids and I know that that's happening, but I can still find a nice stopping place without the kids like jumping on me or something before I'm ready to be done reading. And of course in the Pacific Northwest you can't always read outside, but that's okay. So, you know, you might find like your own little like hugel kind of spot to read in, but I like to do it outside. So, and number 7, and this is like 7, big important thing, especially as a mom, is I like to plan my peak time. And I like to get that done as part of my morning routine. So for you, maybe your peak time isn't that morning part of the day. For me, it typically is between like 9:30 and noon, something like that, is when I'm really just sharp and on top of things. And so if I have something like a big creative endeavor that I need to get done, I might do it during that period of time. Like I might even just run to campus, for example, if I have a paper I need to finish. Or I might use that as the time when I sit down with my kids and we go over something for homeschooling when I'm feeling like the most mentally on top of my game. So planning out that peak time, because once the kids have all gotten up, it's kind of easy to let everything just sort of run over you at that point, and that's kind of what I used to do. And I would find myself you know, halfway through the day or like getting close to the time when my husband would come home from work, and we're engaged, my fiance would come home from work, and just realizing that like I hadn't really gotten anything done. And so planning out whatever that time of day is, because for you maybe it's the evening, but if you get that time planned out right in the beginning of the day and you know what you're gonna do with it, you're a lot more likely to really get that done and like have a sense of accomplishment at the end of every day. And even if for you what you're gonna do at that peak time, like I said, is like spend quality time with your kids, maybe just define what that is and what that's gonna look like for you, and you're gonna feel a lot more accomplished by the end of the day. So if you're a mom, if you have a morning routine, if you don't have a morning routine and you're just thinking about starting one, let me know in the comments below, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Turn on notifications for this channel, because I'm going to be back every week with new videos on how to be your best human. So thanks. Bye.